Hello, beautiful multi-dimensional beings, quantum access beings, starseeds, light warriors, reincarnated ascended masters and guides. Welcome back, or hello if you're new to another channel reading and message for you beautiful souls. I read for the rising souls of the collective, those of you who are absolutely dissolving reality between your conscious and subconscious minds. You guys, what's actually coming through quite strong in this moment is how you have access to both. Like we always speak about, you have access to the conscious and subconscious, and your higher self's actually bringing it through. And I keep hearing it in my mind: subconscious, subatomic, subatomic conscious. You're connected to the subatomic conscious, the subatomic particles. You know, like the consciousness in kind of seeing it as like, oh, physics and quantum physics. We have conscious and we have subatomic, or conscious and subconscious. You know, you're basically connecting to the essence of consciousness, and at a very deep level, because yeah, you guys are connecting to subatomic consciousness, and how that keeps flashing in my mind in like feeling understanding is that you're connected to subatomic consciousness because you understand that everything here is frequency. That's something you guys hold as a knowing. Everything is an electromagnetic frequency. But you guys also know there's different types of frequency. There's different types of frequency. There's different layers in our auric field that are made up by different types of frequency. All these different types of frequency here in the physical, like we know we have frequency up to the point of the visible light spectrum, and then past the visible light spectrum. So what we're looking at is that your higher self's bringing this through in a differentiation between the fact that being able to access the essence of the subatomic conscious is essentially, basically, just being able to sense and interact with subatomic particles, subatomic frequencies. And we know these subatomic particles and frequencies are much, much smaller. And they're smaller because they're much, much higher in frequency, which means they're smaller in wavelength. And we've said this before, you guys have activated your chakra centers. You have activated auric layers in your field, and each of your auric layers is of a different wavelength. This is also being brought through. I don't know if someone's into photography or if someone likes looking at photography, but photography is coming through in a sense of like, I don't know what it is, you guys, if it's like laser photography or something. There's this energy being brought through from you, your higher self, that is basically saying that the length of the wavelength, you know, is dependent on what it can interact with. If we have smaller wavelengths, they can actually pass through the surface to see underneath things. Yeah, like they take photos of art and they can see beneath the first layer of the painting, because the frequency they're using actually goes through the frequency of the surface layer. Why? Because it's smaller, it can pass through it. And this is the same as our auric layers and levels. Your auric field is made up of different layers, and these different layers are made up of different frequency wavelengths. And you guys, you have parts of your aura that are made up of frequency wavelengths that are very, very small and of subtle energy in your etheric layers of your aura. And so in these etheric layers, right, in the subconscious, right? So these can be the layers of the aura that are actually a mirror or electromagnetic vibration of the subconscious mind. And these frequencies are a lot smaller, meaning they can interact with their with their own. So when you're walking around with frequencies all around you as these receptors. They say one layer of your aura is responsible for receiving a certain frequency of energy, and so on and so on. Each layer of your aura is responsible for receiving a different level of frequency. And you guys are also understanding that there are layers and levels to this conscious plane, to this conscious dimension, to the physical dimension. You understand that nothing is physical. Everything's made up of layers of light frequency. And these layers of light frequency are all different vibrational wavelengths. And the smaller and smaller, or the deeper and deeper we go into something, the smaller and smaller those wavelengths become, because the more subatomic or quantum we're going. And so you're walking around with these different layers in your auric field that are actually picking up and interacting with different vibrational frequencies into other people's auras and in the vibrations around you. And so you have a very, very connected auric layer in your field that is actually interacting with subatomic and quantum particles. Why? Because that's what it's made up of. It's made up of the same frequency. And yet we are consciously normally in disconnection to this receptivity. We all pick up on these, but sometimes a lot of people, they're disconnected to this space in themselves or their aura, so they don't receive the information that's being picked up by that particular layer in their auric field. You guys, energy and atoms and light passes information. It passes information to each other. So these layers in your auric field of these subatomic particles, these subatomic wavelengths of frequency, they are passing and transferring and communicating with their like particles or like frequencies that are around them, okay? So say you walk and step in a room and you're interacting with other people's or your layer of your aura that is of that wavelength is interacting with other people's aura field in that wavelength. Again, interacting with the subconscious wavelength. So you pick up, and these light cells, these frequencies are passing over information to one another. And everyone's doing this, but the difference is you're actually consciously receiving these. Your subatomic communications between the frequencies in your aura that you're receiving, they're actually making their way up to your conscious mind from your subconscious. And so this is why you pick up on a lot of energies about people. This is why you pick up on energies and subconscious cycles and programmings of people that they don't even know about themselves. Because some people can be disconnected, or we can be disconnected from the receptivity of receiving the energies of these subatomic frequencies. Why? Because they're so small, they're so subtle compared to the other wavelengths we're constantly surrounded with. So it's very interesting because you guys, you have an ability to actually separate out in layers in your mind, in your inner monologue. You have all these different energies of information and frequencies you're actually receiving. Why this makes sense is that when I say that it's making your way to your conscious mind, to these frequencies you're picking up on around you, that means that they're making your way into your linear inner monologue. It means that you guys have a lot of thoughts and they don't all feel the same. Some thoughts are really quiet and are really in the background. Why? Because they're made up and translated from different frequencies. There are some thoughts that are very, very conscious, so that we pick up in, very maybe bigger wavelengths of our auric field. And, these can come through in the mind as thoughts that are very loud. You guys simultaneously are having so many parallel thoughts at the same time, and they're all at different levels of frequency, and we perceive and process and receive different frequencies in different levels in different ways. That's why we say sometimes, when you're receiving this subatomic information, sometimes it's not spoken in your linear inner monologue. It's like a fleeting butterfly you feel behind the rest of your inner monologue, right? So it's like you are receiving multiple different layers of frequency that you're receiving that's being translated through your senses into your conscious mind or inner monologue, you guys. So you are connected to the subatomic conscious, the subconscious. So that's what's coming through for the intro, you guys. Let's have a little look and see. The word essence is haunting. The word essence is haunting. You could be haunted by certain words. And when I say haunted, I mean synchronicity. There could be certain words that your spirit team is sending to you that are massive synchronicities. Like I'm saying, whenever you turn on the radio, you hear this. Whenever you hear a conversation, someone says this. Whenever you put on a song, this comes up in just random places. Essence could be one of those, or there could be another word that maybe is being guided to you from your guides in that way, because you guys are receiving frequencies, you're receiving information through the ether, the ether. And what is the ether? We're basically saying is the quantum field of consciousness that we're all connected to, yet, some of us forget, but you guys are you've always been connected to this field. It's more been a sense of putting the pieces together and understanding what's going on because you're connected to this field, right? We could have energies like time travel being brought forth recently, or time. But this word essence, you guys, you're connecting to the essence of something, the essence of consciousness. What is the essence? Oh yeah, that's it, basically. You're having deeper downloads of frameworks of connected understanding to words, maybe, you guys. So we can have, you know, a word come through. Let's take essence, for example. And you say, what does that really mean to me? There's all these different definitions of understanding at different levels of consciousness towards the same thing. And we said this before, but your guides, they use words as vessels. Like, words are all vessels in themselves, just like we're a vessel. But our vessel can exist in every single different state of consciousness, in every different infinite timeline. The same as words exist in every infinite timeline, but the word is a vessel for the energy it carries. And the energy it carries is the meaning or the understanding we hold behind it. There's something about illuminated masters or angels basically channeling, or dragons we have coming out, basically channeling to you. And what they channel is this: they channel higher dimensional versions of energy understanding towards certain vessels of words, right? So you're basically getting integrated with a dictionary of, let's just say there's a dictionary, and there's a dictionary for every single level of dimension, right? But in that dictionary has all the same words, but they all mean different things. You're basically integrating with like a fifth dimensional and above dictionary of understanding, you guys. And you've been downloading this over time, and so maybe this is something that happens very reoccurring for you, but there's something about your guides really channeling with you. Wow, look, behind, and downloading you the energies behind. And why this is synchronistic and kind of trippy actually is because when we're talking about essence, we're using that as an example for the download behind something, but that is the answer in itself. Normally, sometimes the question holds the answer. The word holds the meaning in itself. But the essence, that's what you're being downloaded. You are being downloaded the essence of words, the essence of, and what does essence mean? It's really the root of something. It's really the heart of something. So you say, what's the essence of this programming cycle? The essence of this programming cycle is this belief statement, right? So it's like you don't only find higher essences within words, concepts, philosophies. You're finding higher essences within cycles, programmings, and people, and the reality around you and yourself. Wow. Also, when we had angels come out, and we had dragons, angels, and illuminated masters, I thought that was really, really beautiful, you guys, because we have Seraphim's Gateway bottom deck energy on this other deck. I absolutely love this card, Seraphim's Gateway. I love that so much. Voice activation, angelic attunement, divine support. I love that so much because I love the reading we did about the Seraphim's Gateway, how you guys are connected to the Seraphim frequencies. You know, you channel the Seraphim frequency through yourself. Literally, as I was about to say, some of you, maybe you could create something. Look at what's underneath on the bottom deck. This is word satisfaction. It says, seek that which fulfills your soul, and she's painting. So it's kind of interesting because it's like, you guys channel through Seraphim frequency through the things that you do because you're connected to it. And why this is relevant for this reading, Seraphim's frequency is actually a highly subatomic energy. It's a highly quantum frequency. Why? Because it's so small, it's so high vibrational. Angels and a lot of your spirit team are made up of these really high wavelengths of light frequency, and that's why, you know, you guys can actually see past the visible light spectrum. You can see past the visible light spectrum in a way that maybe you've seen a lot of auras before, or different prana, glitter, energy grids, color, something like that. But your Seraphim, they're made up of this frequency, and you must, sorry to say it like that, but they're channeling through. They're like, you must understand that you're connected to perceiving certain frequencies that do not exist in particular dimensional realities, because your state of consciousness is able to connect with every infinite multiverse of dimensional plane. You've always been connected to this Seraphim's frequency, and the Seraphim's frequency is a very, very subtle wavelength of energy. And so that's why it's so gentle. You guys could hold a lot of gentleness within you, especially when you channel the Seraphim frequency in something that you do. Like if this is you channeling Seraphim frequency, which can be like that love, that harmony through your voice within a particular pursuit, like singing, you hold a you are channeling quantum frequencies through your voice and through the things that you touch, do, or create when you're connected to this space. And this could be like very much deep. You pay attention to the details. You see in hyper definition, you pay attention to the details. This is a byproduct of your subatomic nature. Because when we talk about the subatomic or the subconscious or the quantum realm, we're talking about things at a very small level. It's like you guys are able to pick up and add such detail to things. Whether that's through your voice, the things you're saying, the things you're creating, because you're more attuned into this like very smaller, detailed frequencies which can go unnoticed. It's like they're very much the details. You notice the details about everything and everyone. Like maybe you notice small, like say there's like the tiniest scratch or chip on a plant pot. Like maybe your eyes get drawn there and you stare at it. And it's not that we're drawn to necessarily even broken things. If there was a painting, it's like you'd notice, even if there was like a tiny little grasshopper painted in a little corner of it somewhere, it's like you'd notice this, you notice the small details because your awareness is allowed to attune into finer, more refined frequencies. So the things you create are very high vibrational because they're packed with a lot of depth, of texture, of substance, of frequency, of depth. You know, if you stood away from something and then got closer and closer, it's like it only gets better. If you make a song, like the more you turn the sound up, the more you hear of it, it's like the better it gets because you think about and apply awareness on every level of existence to something. Wow, very, very powerful. So let's pull another card from this quantum oracle deck we've got here. This says emotional scripts, cycles and roles, soul contracts and energy dynamics. Very interesting. That's a bit of a shift in conscious. Let's clarify this. Emotional scripts, cycles and roles. We have plane visitation, dipping, visiting a certain frequency plane to gather, strengthen, or dipping up into, so plane visitation. Wow, this is very interesting. So plane visitation, you are visiting certain dimensional frequencies and planes. Why we say visiting is because, you know, when we go through consciousness shifts and stuff, we're really jumping to integrate into a certain frequency. Say visiting is like we spend a short visitation within a certain frequency where we can view those perspectives or those energies. So there's kind of like this plane visitation when it comes to emotional scripts, roles, or cycles. Maybe this is to do with karmic dynamics, soul contracts. With this plane visitation, what this really is that you seem to have flashes into a higher plane. This could be connected to, oh look, we have the halls of learning. I was about to say this could be connected to the Akashic records. You could be dipping and jumping into the Akashic records and pulling back information, particularly about certain soul cycles or soul contracts you have here, about emotional scripts, emotional dynamics. Emotional scripts is really talking about the programming that we're acting or reacting or speaking off from. So with the higher awareness, we can kind of transcend or step out of the emotional scripts to see the emotional script, and not only see it, but to understand it. So it's kind of interesting. You seem to be visiting certain planes of frequency where it's almost as if you guys, it's like, you know, say we at the end of our lives, or say we went in like a coma or something, we'd flick and review certain energies from a higher perspective, like from a higher awareness, you know, like we review our life over. It's almost as if you keep flicking into a plane of frequency where you do this, and you're tapping into like soul contracts and their understanding, either like before and like whilst they were being written and made, or afterwards, after they've been lived out and experienced. There's just something about that that's really highly prevalent and relevant relevant for you that's coming through. It could also be that you guys have certain, wow, so this is interesting. Guys, it could be that with the plane visitation, it could also be that there's certain planes of frequency visiting your reality. So you could have certain emotional scripts or dynamics or soul contracts put into play that are very temporary, that are meant to visit you, so that you are tapping into these dynamics and uncovering them deeper, to a deeper level. Maybe you guys are teachers of certain things, like maybe you guys are teachers of certain psychologies, relationship roles, dynamics, how to navigate through certain cycles, karmic cycles, because you understand through the subatomic conscious that we're all connected and the energy we're living is all a repeat, recycled from the same cycles. There's something very deep about that you know from the Akashic records or the halls of learning. Yeah, so you get sent these classes, essentially, basically. You get sent these classes. These can spawn spontaneously within a connection that's been in our life, that's like it just activates for like that month, and then after that everything goes back to normal, and it's like really weird that all happened. Or it can be like a new person that comes in your life with a particular script and then disappears. It's like people get activated in these roles and you've been noticing it. Or there could be something about you tapping into the halls of learning and tapping into the records or Akashic records of the halls of learning, because there could be certain souls, like with the halls of learning, it's almost like, oh, let's partner up in pairs of groups. Let's say the halls of learning is a school, you guys, and we get paired up with certain people to do certain activities with each other to help each other learn and grow, right? And like in a class, it's kind of like you're tapping into that, but here, like you remember past this incarnation or beyond or before. Spirit guides, confirmation, great lessons. You have been really connecting to the spirit guides or your higher self perspective of your reality of certain cycles. This also means that you guys coexist in this way. You guys have been expanding your capacity. You've been expanding your consciousness. What does that mean? The radius of your light is actually encloaking or encompassing a larger radius of your dimensional planes or of your timeline planes, right? Which means the more you're expanding, the more that you simultaneously are receiving an emotional response from each and every quantum entangled version of yourself that you are radiating or encapsulating over. So you guys, with the halls of learning, this is like interesting because you also have to experience, like you're finding you experience certain learning cycles or energies in your life. You actually feel those in every single level of your consciousness, and then you have to process those emotions from each and every level. And some of them can contradict and conflict or like that, because your capacity of feeling has expanded, and so you're not feeling in a separation, singularized, linear way. You're feeling in a non-linear way between all of the timeline versions of yourself. And it's kind of like you've been maybe doing a lot of work with soul cycles, or you are a spirit guide to other people, because when you go through certain energies in your reality that are, say, soul contracts or something, you feel every version of yourself experience that and process those emotions. And yet, so you can be in your higher self, observing a lower self and how they're feeling and reacting to a situation. And then you can flick into like a higher timeline self that has a slightly different perspective of this situation. It's like you are channeling with all versions of yourself, and you're also a spirit guide to those, because your lower and higher selves give you a gauge or help you navigate or understand certain energy dynamics at every level of consciousness. So say, for example, if we go through the same thing as someone else, we can have a different perspective and emotional response to that experience. Why? Because our emotional response and perspective is connected to our state of consciousness. When you are quantumly entangling with all of these differing states of consciousness that you're receiving and experiencing simultaneously in a parallel nature, this means like you can relate to a lot of people, because even if you wouldn't feel a particular way towards a situation that someone else is going through, in the aspect of your higher self or where you're sitting in your awareness, you have an aspect that does relate to that, because you have access to all aspects of reaction or your emotional cycles in all level of consciousness. So you guys can relate and understand the inner mind workings to how they're processing situations, because you can tap into a lower conscious version of yourself that aligns and resonates with the state of frequency they're at, to be a window to look into what they're experiencing. And you have these windows in every single state and version of yourself. And this is why it can be a lot to process emotions for you guys if you do go through your own like karmic cycles or learning cycles, because you're not just doing it for this, you're not having a singularized experience of processing that. You're not just saying, right, I feel angry and I have to process that. You're saying, right, I feel angry at this lower conscious level of myself, but my higher self is feeling kind of happy, and this self is feeling this way and this way and this way. And it's like you're actually having this parallel experience. That's why it's very overwhelming sometimes. Your capacity of feeling has expanded, because your capacity of feeling is really the quantum entanglement or the empathic connection you have to other versions of yourself in parallel timelines of reality. And in these parallel timelines of reality, you are in the infinite differing states of consciousness. So it's very interesting, you guys. Hopefully this reading has brought through some clarity or confirmation in any way, shape or form. We also have heightened receptivity coming out, which says Claire's expanding spirits and guide communication and download periods of time. So you could be in a very much downloading period of time. You could have been doing some shadow working as well, and that's why we're talking about this coming up. Embrace expression of subconscious energies. But with the heightened receptivity, you could be picking up on more, your receptivity to your subatomic frequencies that surround you and inside of you could have amplified. So it means that you're maybe actually picking up and hearing more energies in your subconscious, more emotions in your subconscious than you did before, or you're picking up and hearing more dynamics of subconscious energy in the collective or the people around you. When we're empathic as well, this means that we can feel a lot more subconscious grief from ourselves or the collective, and vice versa, you guys. Connection to our Seraphim guides and angels and higher realms as well. Everything's being very amplified for you right now. You're getting a lot of downloads that are from these higher dimensional definitions. Also, you never lose the old ones. Is that, again, like we were saying with the feeling, where every time you download a new understanding behind the same word, it just adds to that collection. So you have like understandings for certain words or frequencies from like 3D, 4D, 5D and above levels of consciousness, right? So that is where we're going to leave this reading, beautiful souls. I love you so much. Astral Tribe, 5D Collective, Astral Connections, Astral Consciousness. And I will see and speak to you all in the next reading, beautiful souls. And until then, I will be speaking to you in the halls of learning and having conversations and cool downloads and channelings with you in the Astral Tribe Collective, where we're all kind of gathering at that higher self level. So I love you so much, and until then, I will speak to you guys there. Mwah.